All right, what I'm about to tell you about SoundHound AI, this is a totally true story. This is why I say you need to be careful with what stocks you're looking to buy, because this type of stuff happens all the time with these trash names. I'm going to go into my viewpoints, where you're at, can you bounce, and where your opportunity lies. So I went and did my taxes, I kid you not, about a week and a half ago. A few days after, I get a text from my accountant, right? I'm good friends with the guy as well. He says, tell me about the name SOUN. This is legitimately Tuesday. You can see it's called SoundHound AI. I want to buy a good bit. I say it's pretty hyped up. Honestly, I have no clue what they do, but it's a social media stock. I'm really saying that social media has overhyped it. He was like, it's not social media, it's AI. I was like, I know that. It's being hyped up by social media, right? And I will say, you might have an idea of what they're doing. The idea of why they really went up, though, was NVIDIA's investment in them. We'll go into that here in a second. If you can explain what they do, I'll look at it, but I'm pretty sure it's kind of expensive where it's at. You have this, pretty big pump. Came back, and I was looking for it to come back and retest this zone, right? Said I would just wait for $7 to $10. It's just pumped like crazy. Buy the dip if you're gonna do it. That was my tip, friendly advice, whatever was happening there, right? And honestly, I hate answering these type of questions for people when they message me. But at the time, you're around $15, $16. Now we go to SoundHound AI. We look at their stock value right now. And you came exactly down to that level, mind you. So right now, what is up with SoundHound? Is it a buying opportunity? What did I tell David? And because I have messaged him since then, and what's going to happen going forward. Okay. Now, first of all, let's establish why you don't look good. Number one, you pushed up with like all the like small mid-cap AI names, Big Bear AI, Tempest AI. There's a few others, but SoundHound was one of the names that went up as well. Going a step further, it's important to understand you got really bearish here because NVIDIA released their 10F, I believe, whatever the filing is right here, and it shows basically what they added, what they sold. To give you a viewpoint, they reduced their SoundHound holdings to around 0.64% of the company, and they really just reduced their whole stake in it, right, by like 98%, which I don't know why they didn't sell it all. But that's what happened here on SoundHound. And when that came out, you basically just dropped virtually instantly, like $5, 30% of the value of the stock, right? Instantly down. Now I will say, you're still not in a good situation because even if you get back below 10.5, I think you could easily come down to $8, $7 in a hurry. But the question is there any foundational long-term value here? That's the big question, because when I talked about Big Bear AI yesterday, people were like, well, they got a new CEO and they're best friends with Trump. And I'm just like, what are we talking about? Like, we're talking about hypotheticals of what could possibly happen. We're not talking about actual business, what plans they have, any type of actual growth plan that they've presented, new opportunities that they're taking advantage of. We're all talking about hypotheticals. And when you're looking at these companies, I agree, you have to have, the viewpoint of where you could see them moving into. Like Palantir is a great example. But Palantir took action to get those specific goals time and time again, and they're growing rapidly. I can go and look at SoundHound AI, and it's not really doing much, right? We go look at their, SoundHound's earnings, and I mean, what are we talking about? You bring in $25 million on your most recent earnings report, and your company's worth $4.3 billion. The math isn't math. It's not adding up, right? So again, things you have to be looking at, things you have to be considering, right? And they're still not profitable. Also worth mentioning. So again, SoundHound AI, what do I think about it? Short term, I think it falls in a category of a lot of stocks. I think it's overhyped by social media. I think Twitter influencers, people on TikTok, we engagement farm hot topics, hot commodities in the space. And I think that's what SoundHound was for the past few months. It's a hot commodity, a lot of hype. And if NVIDIA owns it, maybe I can get behind thinking it's a good idea. I can see that, right? But NVIDIA scrapping it as well, getting rid of Nano X as well. I mean, the RX actually looks pretty enticing at this point, especially with how big of a holding it is. But again, what I would be looking at, it's just like, what are you actually, what's the meat here, right? What's the value proposition in this space, right? I do think you can make money on names like SoundHound and BBAI, whatever it may be. But it's about knowing when to get in and when to get out. And, again, if you follow me on Twitter, I try to go over everything. And again, I really do read most of the messages. So I really do try. I made a comment on BBI the other day, right? I wanted to be really clear about it. I was like, look, it looks clear as day as a pump and dump, like it has for the past three 2 years, right? You know, someone got mad and, you know, we go into our hypotheticals of what's happening. You can make money, but the biggest factor of people that make money in the stock market and that lose money in the stock market is you get up 500% on your investment and then you don't take any profits off the table, right? And you think there's more and more and more. And you have to realize with stocks that that's a little bit of a different viewpoint than you have to really take, right? And so when I look at what's happening in SoundHound, I would be waiting more for a pullback. My personal opinion, I think this thing comes deeper down towards $7, maybe even $6. But we'll see. As long as you hold 10.4, you do look good. I will say that's a buying opportunity as you retest your previous highs. The other part here that I've been making very adamant and very clear with AI names is semiconductors do look really good. Like this is something that you need to be focused on. You know, semiconductors breaking back above 250, working back into 256, right? So names like NVIDIA pushing back up, very strong push back to the upside. AVGO, Broadcom pushing back up to the upside, right? Even, your weaker names like Intel, right? Getting a little bit of a bounce as well. So these are things that you would like to continue to see, and that will help the AI space as well, even though that's a lot more speculative, in my opinion, than semiconductors as a whole. So what I would be really looking at and considering there. Now, moving forward into SoundHound, just to give you a viewpoint, the 27th, you do have your next earnings call. So maybe they come out, they release a good path of growth, but I don't see this being a game changer in the short term. I don't see there being any crazy real news, and I don't see their sales, exploding like you might want or expect. More recently off the earnings, you've had pretty minimal overall movements, as you can see back here as well, giving you that visual here. So you had your earnings here, you ended up dropping. Again, you have your earnings back here. As you can see right here, nothing really happens. Your previous earnings here, you actually have a little bit of a pop to the upside. This is just over the past year, but really nothing happens there again. Earnings here, you end up missing, and then you actually end up getting a drop as well. So again, you drop back down. So again, overall earnings have been pretty much non-existent, so I'm not expecting a lot of good action here from earnings. Now, as far as earnings are concerned, stocks that I would be watching over the next few days and weeks that are going to be interesting. Number one, you do have NVIDIA. It's going to be a big dog. Number two, you have the 25th coming up for SMCI when they have to release their paperwork regarding their, I think, 10K filing. And if they can provide this information, they will stay listed on the NASDAQ. And SMCI is at a breakout point. If it gets back above $50, you're looking for $54, and over 54, this could get explosive back into 60, 64, then 68, $70. So again, there's a lot of interesting viewpoints and interesting stocks you should be watching over the next week. But I think you will do yourself a disservice to be focusing on these trash names. And I think that's what they are. SoundHound, I don't see any value in it whatsoever. BBAI, I don't see any value in it whatsoever. As much as I don't like SMCI, if SMCI can provide the documents, it's going to be a hot name that you're going to wish you would have focused on. NVIDIA, another big earnings coming up here, right? Pushing back into all-time highs. You also have NASDAQ pushing back into all-time highs as well. So again, this is definitely one of those weeks and next 2 weeks that you should be paying attention, because if you're focused on the wrong things, you're either going to lose money or miss out on the money where it's going to be easy to make it. And so again, looking at these names, it's focusing on what's important, why it's important, and ultimately getting these bad names off your watch list so you're not wasting energy and wasting time. Because again, over the past 2 weeks, we've been a little bit on a heater here. A few names we've been talking a lot about. Baba, one of our favorite names. If this can get another strong hold above 122, 124, Baba, we're looking explosive here. And if you want to, go look at our past videos, call my bluff, right? Alibaba, SMCI, what's happening to him? HIMS. We said this is one of the biggest companies that you need to be looking at. Again, a lot of the names we've been talking about, Reddit on the dip, Robinhood earnings, things along those lines. But again, as we're going into this week, there's still some big opportunities out there. With semiconductors have got to be one of our biggest focuses. I believe also, too, you have some of these other names like Tempest AI running towards $100. You have Bros potentially getting the amount of previous all-time highs, which is pretty insane all in itself. You have ARM trying to get back above 163, 164, which could be crazy. Again, there's a lot of names right here that you need to be paying a lot of attention to. Because again, when you get this action to where you break all-time highs, you get continuation, and you get price discovery on the futures, that's a rare occasion. And it's literally, if you've traded it, some of the easiest times to make money. It's just about knowing where big money is flowing into and where the big opportunities are for yourself in the market, so you don't, get stuck if you're trading something on a weaker name, getting minimal upside on that as well. If you have any questions, comment down below, follow on Twitter. All the links are down there as well. Have a good one, traders.